Hello, my lovelies. So, today we are going to start our next book. I almost didn't do this book, but I had enough people that told me either on our lessons or individually that they really wanted me to do it. So, we're going to try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, oh well. But you will all get exposed to a book that you may not have had a chance to read before or even knew existed. And I see that as a win. So, this first part of the video will be kind of introducing it, and then we're going to get started with it. This book is part of a series. It's called Circle of Magic, Sandry's book. And this is the first book in a 4-part series. The first chapter is all about introducing us to our main 4 characters. I'm going to try and break it up into small bits. Also, in addition, this one is done a little bit differently because I don't have a hand copy of it. I have it on my Kindle. So, it's going to look like I'm looking really close to you, but not right at you because I'm looking at my screen right here that has the book. Okay? So, let's get started with chapter 1. In the palace of Black Swans, Zakdin, capital of Hatar. Blue eyes wide, Lady Sandrine Fatoran watched her near-empty oil lamp. Her small mouth quivered as the flame at the end of the wick danced and shrank, throwing grim shadows on the barrels of food and water that shared her prison. When that flame was gone, she would be without light in this windowless storeroom. "I'll go crazy," she said flatly. "When they come to rescue me, I'll be stark raving mad." She refused to admit that, with this room locked from the outside and hidden by magic, a rescue was hopeless. I'll draw the mob away from here, far away," Parisi had whispered through the keyhole, speaking in her native trader talk. "You'll be safe until the smallpox has run its course. Then I'll return for you." But her nurse had never returned. Right outside the door, the mob had caught and killed her because she was a hated traitor. With Parisi dead, no one would know where Sandry had spent her last days. Her light wobbled and shrank. "If only I could catch it in something," she cried. "Like trader wizards catch the winds in their nets." "A net is string," she interrupted herself, "and string is thread." She had thread in her work basket. She had grabbed when Parisi had dragged her from her room. The basket's contents had kept her from giving up completely before this, as she embroidered until her eyes refused to focus. She had thread aplenty, in coils and in her work. "I'm no mage," she argued, resting her head in one hand. "I'm just a girl. A noble girl, worse yet. Like that maid said, good for naught but to be married and waited on. Good for naught, that's me." Tears filled her eyes, making the lamp quiver even more. "Crying won't help," she snapped. "I have to do something. Something besides weep and talk to myself." She dragged her work basket over. Fumbling, she yanked out 3 coils of silk, 1 green, 1 pale gray, 1 bright red. Swiftly, she arranged them, 1 in her lap, 1 on her left, and 1 to her right. The light was down to a blue core and its wavering orange skirt. Gathering the ends of the thread in her left hand, she pulled them together in a knot, tying it as snugly as she could. Finding long dressmaker's pins in her basket, she pinned the knot to a barrel to anchor it. Her fingers shook. Sweat crawled down her face. She didn't want to think of what would happen if this didn't work. Worse, there was no reason for it to work. Parisi, the trader and servant, had magic. Lady Sandrine Fatoran was good only to be waited on and to marry. Nothing to lose, she said, and took a deep breath. Nothing at all. Aboard the trader ships, their memanders, or mages, called the winds as if they were friends who could be invited to stay. Come on, she told the dying flame. Come here, won't you? You'll last in these threads longer than you will in that lamp. That lamp guttered. The flame was gobbling the few drops of oil that remained in its bowl. The girl started her braid. The green thread wrapped around her fingers like a strangling vine. The gray slithered to the floor like a snake. The red tangled with itself. Uvumi, patience, it is everything. Parisi had once told Sandry, without patience, magic would be undiscovered. In rushing everything, we would never hear its whisper inside. Uvumi, Sandry whispered in trader talk. She straightened the threads, one on each side, one in her lap. Closing her eyes, she found that she was much calmer when she couldn't see her work or the lamp. She really didn't need to see to do something as easy as a braid. In her mind, her threads gleamed brightly. They called specks of light from all around her and tangled them in her strands. The flickering lamp went out. She opened her eyes. The wick was dead and black. Through and around her braid, light shone steadily, filling the room with a soft, pearly glow. Did I know I could do that? She whispered. The braid light wavered. All right, she said, gathering the threads once more. But I have to sleep, you know. She wiped her eyes on her sleeve with a whispered Uvumi. Sandrine Fatorin went back to work. So, now we've been introduced to our first main character, Sandrine Fatorin. I'm going to pause this. We're going to come back because we're going to meet our second main character, Daja.